Hi everyone and welcome back. This is 1D Historian and today we are talking about a fan movement in defense of a fave. But despite our fandom being near constantly divided on a whole host of issues, nothing brought Directioners together quite like a fan project. And one of the most well-known fan projects of the early 1D days was the Let Niall Sing movement. In summer of 2012, as One Direction was on their Up All Night tour, rumors started appearing that the boys were recording music on the road for their sophomore album. And amidst these reports, rumors began circulating that Niall Horan's role as a vocalist would be severely diminished on the next album. And instead he was going to be One Direction's guitarist moving forward. Even as far back as the earliest X Factor days, before One Direction even existed, Niall was rarely seen without his guitar. We were always getting videos and pictures and stories about him with the instrument in hand. I don't believe in anybody. But as much as fans loved that Niall could play guitar, people weren't so keen on him only playing guitar. In fact, during the Up All Night tour, when the band would perform Torn, Niall was given only a guitar with no microphone. And fans were furious. At this point, Niall's singing time was already a sore spot for fans. One Direction's first two singles were released in fall of 2011. Niall and Louis were not featured as soloists on either one. And when the full Up All Night album was released, the fans were immediately in defense mode on Niall and Louis' behalf, but the responses in defense of Niall were way bigger, which was likely because Niall was seen as the band's baby, and when One Direction first started breaking into the US, it was Niall who emerged as the American fan favorite. His collection of defenders grew enormously. So enormous that when the rumor emerged that One Direction's management, Modest Management, was going to demote Niall on the next album because they didn't think he was a good enough singer, an entire fan movement erupted. As well as starting a petition directly to Modest Management. But then when the Take Me Home album was released, it sounded like no one had listened. He was still behind all of the other boys in terms of overall solo time on the album. And then subsequently on tour, this now infamous moment happened. The fan who posted the video of this moment reported that management had turned off Niall's microphone during Little Things, and Niall was so upset that he cried. As tour continued and Niall's microphone seemed to have more technical difficulties than the rest of the boys, fans began taking these moments as absolute proof that management was interfering because they didn't think he was a good enough singer. So every time one of the other boys lent Niall their microphone, or every time Niall just absolutely nailed a solo, fans absolutely loved it. But do you know who we recently learned doesn't love all this? Niall Horan. In 2019, Niall posted a group photo expressing thanks to his team for supporting him throughout his career, and he tagged Modest Management. Fans were quick to ask why on earth he would thank Modest Management after everything they did to him, to which Niall expressed confusion and seemed to pretty emphatically deny that a management campaign against him ever took place. And the next year when he stumbled on fans asking about him crying in that infamous Little Things video, Niall completely dismissed the fan theory behind it and even seemed to express frustration over this narrative that was making him into a victim. While fans spent years rallying behind Niall, there is a very good chance that there was never any reason for us to do so. But at the very least, that galvanization served to unite the fans under one common goal: to hear the sound of Niall's voice.